Show us your tips. Daggy and the Beaver with you for midweek racing from Sandown and Warwick Farm to get stuck into today for progretracing.com.au. Of course, check them out for their free tips, extensive guides, and much more. How are you today, Beaver?
Mate, I'm very well, thank you. Been a bit of an overcast, rainy day here in Sydney, but all in all, mate, fighting fit and ready to go for another day.
I finally got off the floor after Palacipan won, after I jumped off it for the first time in about 18 months, so that was good. How'd the weekend treat you?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad a weekend. It was, some good races and some good outcomes, but it's just a tough time of year. There's sometimes win without names at the moment, and some of the form lines just don't stack up in winter form. And yeah, even finding some of the rides on certain horses at this time of the year quite bizarre. They're either giving themselves no chance or sitting out wide, and yeah.
I think we'll all be much more comfy in the next couple of weeks when everyone returns to their home states and gets back into their usual rhythms. But interesting card today, both of them, because I think I don't necessarily want to say spring's peeking its head over the horizon yet, but there's some lightly raced horses here that could go a fair way into the early part of spring, I think. Like you bleed up to the big spring carnivals and do quite well on a Saturday, as we'll get throughout the cards. And there's some nice horses resuming or second up that look pretty good chances. We'll kick off at Sandown and see if we can find them then.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Soft track at Sandown, a bit of drizzle around. The rail is in the true. We're on the Lakeside track as I open my proper notes. And we kick off with a 2,400 metre benchmark 72, and you can lead us away here.
Yeah, it's probably one of the hardest races on the day, to be honest. This is a super difficult field. A lot of chances, I think. You could go well down into the market here and find things even down as far as 20s and the likes. I've said right number 10, Pacino. I think it's working through its last few starts nicely as it's got up in distance. Now gets out to the 2,400. Should run the distance, only lightly raced, and should be hitting peak fitness for this. I think it can run well. Hardest to beat here for a good time. Hasn't won in a bit, but pretty consistent, and comes back into this grade after running in some decent grades behind Strawberry Rock. So could run well as well. But yeah, open race, Pacino for me.
Is an open race, as you said. That you could. I don't think you could make a bad case for anyone in this race. The two I'm gonna have a result on though will be the first to be the Sydney side of Funambulist, who is now fifth up, had a couple of prep runs, went to Hawkesbury, won well, and then was pretty good behind So United and Just a Jedi last time out. So United would probably start favourite here on a dry track. Gets a bit of a claim for Celine Gaudry. That's no issue. And around the $7 mark, I think, is a reasonable play. And I'm going to make my other result here, Alhambra Lad, who is going well. Wet tracker. Won well at Werribee last time out. Gets a bit of a claim as well. And, yeah, a pain stayer off a win coming into a race like this around the $10 mark looks good for me as well. So that's the way I'll start off, but a very tricky start to the day. I'm not sure the second is much easier. We're back to the mile again at 70 level, but I'm going to go with the favourite here, Time Quest. A long way out of its ground last time. Smashed the line there. We're in decent enough figures in doing so. B Shin jumps on board, who's the go-to jockey, as we know, down there. And I think runs well here from Burgunder, who resumed pretty well, I thought. Had to do a lot of work on pace, which is never easy first up at Swan Hill. And stuck on quite bravely. Second up, Zach Spain takes over. And around $11 marks is a nice enough chance. And again, another one, well, next best would be Ivan's Hero, who we had a bit of a liking for first up. Won well enough in his double figures as well from an inside gate. I think they're the three main chances for me.
Yeah, no, I've got Matthew on top. That was a really good resumption there. I did was in the midweeks, and I did put it in my article as one of my better bets. So I think it can run really well. I like the way it savaged the line there. It was trapped a little bit wide, and then looked to be kind of struggling on the turn. and then bang, it just it let down and put pay to him quite nicely there. I thought that was a good run. Goes up the extra 200 here. It's got the wide draw, but assuming you can get a decent run here, it'll be running on nicely and handles the conditions. I got hit on top from Ivan's Hero, as you mentioned.
I really like Pat Payne's now. I think there's a good bit of intent because when he goes back to the trials off a run like that, they have the trial, get the flat run out of the system, and then back to the races. It's been working for him the last few months, I suspect. Well, I know because I've been backing them. The third is a benchmark 70, again over the mile. Who do you like here?
Yeah, my on top pick's been scratched here, Artika. I
Probably
had it
good for
on
my
top,
sanity.
so probably good for your sanity. I thought it was ready to go here, but that way, with that out, I've gone for Najiko.
Yep.
Last two wins have been pretty good, and it goes up in class here, but been winning fairly comfortably the last couple. So I think it can make that natural progression here. As I said, main dangers have been scratched, and around the $4.55 mark, I think it's a nice little bet.
Yeah, Maurice in the wet too, so it gets through him quite well. Agree. I'm left with you on top. I did have Tika for better or worse on top before scratchings. The other one I'll mention here is Malkeeb, who's come back in good form. Is a little wet tracker, gets through the line, has got through the line quite nicely. Its last two, I think wet's the key, and Daniel Stackhouse from an outside gate. I do think by the end of the day, you want to be coming down the middle of this track if the rain sticks around. So that could be the time for it to chime in. The fourth is a 1,300 metre benchmark 70, where I've still felt sick watching that Mrs. Chrissy replay last time out, watching the Bior Bay win there because I was on her for a lot of money. But anyway, I've got Bior Bay on top, though. That said, I think it's going well. It has found the line. All three starts is prep. Get through the conditions, claim for Wirimu pin, and you're getting a double, an each-way price, I should say, to find out. I'm going to have it on top from Anahita, who is a little wet tracker. Should almost cross from out there, and from that gate should cross and lead. It was pretty good here last time out. Back to the inside in the Passione and Vasia race, and I think that form fits this pretty well. Again, double figures, so they're going to be my plays here. What have you made of it?
Yeah, I'm going for the resuming extreme step here. Has a great first up record. Last time first up won at the Valley, and has won first up prior to that as well. Only lightly raced, but I think it can run really well here if it's churned up enough. And this is not an overly difficult field, so around the $7 mark, I think it's a nice bet, and that's my play.
Race 5, a 2,100 metre benchmark 78. Again, a nice steep field is the story of the first half of this card. Who have you found?
Yeah, this is a tricky little affair here, a nice open race here. I'm going to give Dillian another chance here. I think it's fitter for its first up run, goes from Warwick Farm down to Melbourne here. Prior to that, obviously ran in some listed and group races in Great Britain and France. I expect some improvement here. And if you look at last run, it got way back and just started to pick a few off through the field there. As you said, 2,100 down the middle of the track here. It's got the right draw this part of the day. I've got it on top.
I'm going to spec Bainbridge here. I've just got a feeling it's a good horse. To come back and ride the pace first up off 2 years like it did and be very brave first up and then come out and win last time. Shows a bit of guts, and it's now fit off that long spell. And if you go back to a previous life, it did win here a couple of years ago. Last time it was here in a reasonable race. And it can come here, roll across, and might have more upside than some of these. So at the price, I'm going to put it on top from Dillian, and you've covered that off really well. Some good form here, a decent enough debut. It's going to run well. I think this race is up for grabs, and I don't see a lot else amongst them. So looking forward to finding out. The sixth, in fact, is a 1,200 metre benchmark 64. This is a great next step for Von Hauke. It was a horse out in Pinionov first prep, came back and won as it liked first up, and comes to a benchmark 64. It's going to get through the ground well. It's going to be in the right part of the track, and I think it's going to win and win well. I think this is a genuine Saturday horse, if not better. with it from Hill Rip, who was pretty good last time out and will run well, as will Immortality, who was slightly disappointing, but might be in the right part of the track. Who do you like here?
Yeah, good summation there. I think Von Hauke as well looks really hard to beat. That was a nice resumption. He put pay to it, albeit only maiden company. Steps up here, but form last prep was pretty good and showed some potential. Trialled well, franked that form first up, and yeah, natural progression race here midweek on its way to the city. Got it on top. Main danger, the top weight, Chamara resuming. I think it can run well as a backup chance.
1,200 metres, benchmark 70, race 7. Who's on top for you?
Yeah, geez, this is a tricky race here. Some horses with a little bit of form. I'm going to stick with number 10, the Haas. Third up here. Thought its first 2 runs this time in was good. Only a couple of lengths behind Nostaglia, who's going great guns at the moment. That was a really impressive run first up. And then backed it up with a nice run at Mornington. Finished off really nicely there over the 1,000. Was hitting the line probably best of all in that race in the soft going. Up to the 1,200 now suits, and this looks ideal as long as it doesn't get stuck on the fence. Main danger, number 12, Shines.
I'm going with the horse I had an opinion of, Rheinberg. It came over, it was good last prep. From that gate can either take up a position or fall into running line if it wants. It's done both last prep. I really like the form looks pretty good around it now with Unusual Culture in British Columbia and co. Jump outs have been good for this. All I'm missing is Mickey D. But Dan Stackhouse to do the job here. I think this is a Saturday horse resuming here and runs well from the Haas. You've covered off. And there wasn't a lot else here. Sig Positano will run its usual honest race. The last is a 1,400 metre benchmark 70, and I am going to go with Bigolino on top for the Payne stable with the claim for Lafferty. I think it rolls forward here. It was pretty good last time out on a track that you had it led up on a swoopers track and held on pretty well there. I think now getting deep enough into the prep with a couple of tick over trials in between, I think this is its race. I think the only danger, and I am scared of it, is Arnold, because this is a horse we thought was going to be, who knows what, at one stage a year ago. So, change of scenery for the Mar Eustace stable. If it brings its best Sydney form, it'll blow these away. But I want to see it first. If it had been a dry track as well, I may have been more confident. But I think they're the two, and they're very interested to see how the race plans out, Beaver.
Yeah, I'm going to go Arnold for all the reasons you said. I know it wasn't in its best form last preparation, but I'm willing to forgive that. Its preparation before looked to have plenty of talent. I think there's some talent there, and hopefully we'll see it today. It's my on top pick, and I think you'll get a good guide on the market. If it blows in the market, then you probably want to. You probably don't want to be on, but if it stays tight or comes in, then that would be a good pointer there from the Mar Eustace stable. So on top for me.
Beautiful. Who's on top for you for your best of the day and your value at progretracing.com.au?
Yeah, my best of the day comes up in race 5, number 9, Dillian. I think it's going to be hardest to beat. And my value bet comes up in race 2, number 11, Matthew.
I'm going to make my best race 6, number 12, Von Hauke. And my value race 5, in fact, number 7, Bainbridge. Around a $10 mark. But I like the cut. This is the most interested I've been in a midweek card for probably a couple of months, to be honest. So looking forward to seeing how it pans out. We head to Warwick Farm for the other card on the day, which is currently on a good track with the rail true. There is rain around, as Beaver mentioned. It's here to stay, I believe. So I imagine we get to soft. If that is the case and the track opens up, you probably want to be towards the middle of the track as the meeting goes on. We're kicking off with a 1,200 metre 2-year-old race, which looks to me like a good race. I am going to let you go first, though, Beaver.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. We'll get a good guide. It's pretty hard to get a line through some of these, and if this thing comes out of the track by the race time start, could make it trickier. I'm going to stick with the Cummings water ski on top. I thought the trial was probably the best of them all. was a nice run, and when the 2-year-olds try like that for Cummings, they generally frank that form and run a good race.
Yeah, I went through. I obviously went down the page and got to that trial pretty much last of all, and I thought I was going to go elsewhere, but I love that trial. I thought that was fantastic. Great work there. Zach Lloyd jumps on, drawn to just peel out when he wants, and will hit the line well. I've got it on top from Arctic Glamour, who I had an opinion of going into that debut run and got too far back and hit the line really well. I think does run well here and is a real a live danger. And Wasted Youth, who's perhaps over the odds, trialled well, and we know with the Waterhouse Spot youngsters, they're going to be fit and ready to go. The second is the girls' version, a 1200 metre maiden for the 2-year-olds. And I have lost my top pick. I don't necessarily have a lot left here because this is a tricky race beyond that. I've lost my top 3 picks, actually. By default, I've got Zoo Prince on top, but I wasn't that keen on it with the others in, so I can't sit here and declare it with them out, to be honest. Have you got any better clarity?
I went to Zoo Prince
I
up
understand
top.
it. I just made the
Uh,
decision to go
yeah,
against that Kenzo race altogether, but now the rest of the dangers are gone, maybe it's the obvious.
yeah, look, I thought the trials were pretty good, and then I thought the race at Canterbury was a nice
Sorry,
first up
Canterbury.
effort. I think it will have derived a fair bit out of that. It was only a small field, but I think it draws well here. And I think it can run well in a pretty open field. You're right, this is a tricky race, but I had it on top.
The third is a benchmark 64 1100 metres, where I think there's 2 clear hopes, and I just have a feeling Dakota Vroom is a nice horse. Powered through late in a trial there in preparation for this. Its first up debut wasn't given much of a chance, but smashed the line there. May want 1400 metres. 1100 metres might not be ideal, but if we're getting around the $5 mark, I'm going to have something on it. From Nana's Wish, who comes over from New Zealand with some reasonable form. Trials have been good, really found the line nicely in that last trial. I think they're the 2 key hopes, and interested to see how the market settles them. But as I said, the well-bred Dakota Vroom might be a run or 2 early, but I think it'll win better races than this. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I put Nana's Wish on top. I like the top 3 in this. I think they've all got a bit of ability. I'm just going to go off the back that it had some group experience in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Mar Eustace have obviously picked this horse up, and they obviously think it's got a little bit of ability. Gets the 1.5 kilo claim. I think it's probably the one obvious that you've got to go with. So I've got it on top. You've made a good case for Dakota Vroom, and there was a lot to like about Angel Fun's win last start as well. That was a really nice win. It let down really, really nicely in the last 100 there to put a page from at Wyong. This is a step up, but yeah, I think it's got some talent as well.
Mm-hmm. The fourth is a benchmark 72, 1400 metres, and I don't have much to add to this race apart from saying the market is exactly right. It's how I would line it up. Green Shadows on top. Didn't have every possible there on a Saturday, and was pretty good. Comes back here, gets a nice gate, gets Zach Lloyd, and is around even money, is on top. From Growl, same. This race fits pretty well. Next best, Able Willie, as the market suggests. What have you made of this?
Yeah, same as you. Got Green Shadows on top. It was a pretty good run first up. Wasn't given the best of chances and hit the line really nicely there. I think the extra 100 here suits, drawn well. And this is not an overly deep race. I've got it on top.
The fifth is a 1200 metre, 72. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is an open field, plenty of chances here. 5 or 6 really good chances here. I've sort of on number 3, Miss J Fox. It's been around the mark the last couple, and I think that could line up quite nicely here. I think it's drawn right here in gate 5, and I like the last run. It's kind of let up and stuck on okay last time. I think it can get the lead here. Hopefully, get an easy time, and might just prove really hard to run down here at the farm today. On top, main danger number 5, Ramones. Nice resumption there. Has a little bit of ability and can run a good race as well after some nice trials.
This race, I just know I'm going to like zig when I should zag in this race. Whichever way I go, I can see it panning out a couple of ways, and I'm going to probably go the wrong one. My initial thoughts was Master Showman's been outside lead the last two starts on a Saturday. Coming back here with Josh Parr, I thought I might have found the lead. With the rain coming now, and I've just got a feeling it's going to end up outside lead again on a wet Warwick Farm. I don't think that's necessarily the right spot. So I'm going to go with Deep Snow on top. I think just the way the track's going to pan out. Back from a Saturday grade, gets through the wet well with Zed Lloyd. I think it runs well here, but I'm scared of Miss J Fox. You've mentioned that. I'm scared of Ramones. Even slightly nervous about Guevara there as well. But had it been dry, I would have had Showman on top, but going to go with Deep Snow now. The 6 is a benchmark 72, 1,300 metres, and Nostalgia made a believer out of me last time. Had a couple of question marks going into that Canterbury race, but it just owned them, ran away, won as it liked, gone back and trialled since. Comes here and meets, to be brutally honest, a shit race. I think it wins this and is another one, as I mentioned earlier in the show, that's going to go on to better stuff than this. This will go to Saturday and run well. Karen will ride it perfectly. These sort of horses suit him. I think it is my best of the day, and that's all I'm really going to say.
Yeah, can't add too much more to that. Completely with you there. There was a lot to like about that first up win. Put paid to him quite easily there. I see a similar way that race panned out, that this might follow suit. So I've got it on top as well. And yeah, I think the $2.20 you're getting now is probably the best you're going to do.
Mm-hmm. We wrap up with a mile benchmark 72. How are you finishing off this card?
Yeah, tricky race here. Look, I'm going to stick with number 2, Mutamanni. I think I had it as my best bet on the card last start, and yeah, it was really disappointing. Sort of
4
lost
letters.
its position, got pushed back.
EIPH.
Yeah, and they usually bounce back after that.
They usually win off it.
Yeah, and so yeah, I think it's going to be super hard to beat again. Zachy Lloyd's on board, gets the claim. Its first up win was very good. So I'm looking for it to turn that around and be super hard to beat.
Yep, great Australian debut. We were both sort of with it last time out. And as I said, pulled up with EIPH. So hopefully the ticker's in order this time. They bounce back and win off that. It happens all the time. I think it runs well here. Big day for Zach Lloyd, actually.
Yeah, very big.
He could have been for a day out. Handles the cut out of the ground. I think it wins and wins well. The Danger's a stablemate, Centerstone, who came down with some decent Queensland form. Actually ran pretty well on the Saturday last time out, albeit in a not the greatest Saturday race. But I think they're the only two I really look at in terms if I was going to have a quaddy today. So nice way to finish the day. For ProGetRacing.com, I'm going to make my best. Race 6, number 7, Nostalgia. It runs well, as well as Zach Lloyd, as I said. Struggled to really find a value play. So for the sake of it, even though I didn't have it on top, I think Arctic Glamour is a good backable each way bet here. Race 1, number 1. What about yourself?
Yeah, look, I did like Nostalgia, but given you've gone it as your best, I'm going to go race 7, number 2, Mutamanni. I'm going to have it bouncing back on my best bet. And my value bet comes up in race 5, number 3, Miss J Fox.
Awesome. You got any up in Queensland?
I did have a few things up in Queensland, but it wasn't till I think it was a little bit later in the day. I only had 2 tips, and that was race 7, number 11, Whitewater, around the $455 mark, and then the last race, my best bet there, race 8, number 2, Meritable.
One from Belmont, race 3, number 5, Rupert's Empire should be winning this afternoon. That's all I've got to add from the rest of Australia. It's been Show Us Your Tips. Thank you, Beaver. Let you get back to your business.
Thank you, sir.
We will talk again tomorrow night to look at, we're back to normal, back to Rose Hill and Melbourne. Cool. All right, we'll discuss that off air. We'll be previewing some cards. There'll be some racing to talk about tomorrow night.
You want something from me then?
Yeah. What are we doing? We'll work it out.
Yeah, that sounds good.
If Ipswich, wherever they're going, looks all right, we might do one last Queensland, but most likely Sydney, Melbourne. Anyway, see you soon. Subscribe, leave some feedback, do all the good stuff, and we'll chat soon. Catch you guys.